All right, now that we have this thing at least cleaned up, I can take my locks off here, move the end mill out of the way, sure brush off any of my chips. Now I can loosen this up, and then I'm going to immediately turn it around. But when I say immediately, I got to do something first, right? I have to make sure that I don't have any burrs. Even though they look small and they look subtle, okay, it's still going to affect how the part is being clamped in the vise. So what we're going to do is take that file. We can do 1, 2, 3. Doing it in a method like that for nylon helps you to push the burr. You push a burr this way, you push a burr this way, and then ultimately you get the burr completely off of the side. So 1, 2, and 3, and that should be wiped off. We're going to do the same thing with the end because that will be buried in the vise, and again will have an effect on how we are clamping our part. Again, we don't want to go crazy with this because we don't want to change the geometry, put too big of a chamfer on there. But now that we have our nice clean edge and we know we're going to make sure that our vise is clean, and we're going to flip this part over, okay, and do the same deal, except for this time we're going to have the other end sticking out. All right, so what we'll do is the same deal. We're going to clamp this in, and again, don't be a he-man. We're going to make sure that it's nice and snug while we're holding down, but we don't necessarily want to deform the part. And then we're going to move our table over just enough to where we can use the hammer without actually hitting the machine. Okay, so now that we've achieved that, our parallels aren't moving and our parallels aren't sticking out where they can come in contact with the cutter. All right, so now we're going to do something that's very similar to what we've done already. We're going to do the cleanup pass just so that we can make a good measurement, and then we're going to take that measurement, plug it into our DRO, and actually cut this thing to size. So let's turn this back on. Glass is down. We come in contact with our part. Back up. 1001, 1002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Looks like not enough. I'll go a little faster, and I definitely haven't cleaned it up because from my vantage point, it's still at an angle. So I'm going to feed in, I'm going to zero my X, I'm going to tighten up my gibs here so it doesn't move, and then I'm going to go I can still speed up. I'm going a little bit slow here. And we're going to get to the end. Now, from my vantage point, which I have a very good vantage point on this, I could actually see the geometry in my part changing as it cut. And what I mean by that is I could see the taper going away. And now if I look at it at the right light, I can see that it was machined appropriately. So now I have clean surfaces. Not only do I have a clean surface here, but I also have my X set at 0, so I know exactly where I made that cut. So at this point, what are we going to do? We grab our calipers, and then we make sure that they are clean, and they read 0 at 0, and now we're going to take a measurement. Now remember, this was the 2 1/4, and I actually have 2.248, and I'm going to check back here too to make sure I don't have a taper, and I do a little bit. Actually, I have 2.245, and I have 2.246 now. Okay, that I've checked that again. So we're going to go with 2.246, and I'm going to simply hit the X and then 2.246, and I'm going to hit enter. So now my machine actually knows where we are. Now, something to consider is you want to make sure that you know what side of 0 that you're actually on, okay? And what I mean by that is now that I'm cutting on this side of the part, okay, in this case it's actually going to be negative 2.246, so I need to change that to negative 2.246, enter, okay, because I'm actually going to be going towards 0 heading in the positive direction, which is to the right. So no big deal, but going back to our drawing here, it's always a good idea to pay attention to this frequently, and if we look, we actually have to get down to 2 inches, okay? So we're going to look at 2 inches. Now before I do anything else, I'm going to recheck something. I'm going to go to 2 inches on my calipers here, and I'm going to check from this back edge to here, and it looks like I'm not going to hit my vise, okay? So I definitely stuck the part out far enough, which is great, and it looks like I got about a 1/4 inch to take. I could probably get away with about 50 thousandths or so to cut this, so let's stop talking and get it done. Let's go to high range. We're going to go to about 50 thousandths, which is going to be negative 2.2. I'm going to lock in my Gibbs, and then we're going to start cutting. Alright, still a little light on that. Remember, I'm also conventionally cutting. Okay, so I'm actually feeding the workpiece into the direction of the tooth. That's why I went back across here. It's nylon, it's not so bad doing a cleanup pass, but I'm going to go ahead and advance this yet again. Okay, just so you guys can see up here, I'm at 2.1. I'm at 2.1. I'm going to go to 2.15, so that's going to be about a 50 thousandths cut, roughly. And then back down here, I'm going to make sure that this is tight so my X doesn't move. Get you guys lined back up so you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, Okay, my speed is getting a lot better now, so that's a big plus. And again, just like I showed you in that last frame, we're going to loosen this up. Take a look at our X. We're going to get that closer to 2.1. I'm going to tighten up this. Set that back up for your viewing pleasure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Not too bad. Alright, we're getting there, guys. I'm going to back this up here. I'm going to loosen that. I'm going to come over to my X and move it closer to about 2.5-ish. Doesn't have to be perfect. Lock this in, and then back over here for your viewing. Okay, in this case, I'm going to crack this loose, but now I'm going to take my X, I'm going to take it to about 10 thousandths or so bigger than what it's supposed to be, and check it with calipers. Alright, so 2.01, I'm going to lock this in right here, and then we're going to set this up and make this cut. Alright, let's turn this off, that way we can hear each other a little bit better. I'm going to make sure that this is reasonably clean. And then I'm going to grab my calipers, and remember I set this at 2.01, so 2" 10 thousandths. And now that I'm measuring it, I have exactly 2" 10. I got about 2" 08, 2" 09. Okay, so I got about 2". Now that I'm holding this and checking it, I have about 2" 8 thousandths instead of 2" 10 thousandths. No big deal, very simple, right? So since I'm measuring 2" 8 thousandths, I'm going to go up here and change that to negative 2.008, okay, enter, and so I've made my correction right there. This way, I can dial right to what my dimension is. So back to high range, loosen up the Gibbs there, drive into my 2" on the money, and then we're going to cut this thing for the last time on this side. Okay, we turn that off, and again we go back to our calipers here, making sure that we don't have chips that we're measuring. And what I'm ending up with is 2" and almost 1/1000ths, and actually I have 2" exactly right there. So bam, I hit my dimension on that. And remember where we got that dimension from the beginning here. When we look at our part, we have the 2-inch width. So we took that from our 2 1/4 cut size, and we were able to hit that on the money. Now what do we need to do? We need to do the same process on the factory edges that we use to line everything up. So we're going to take that skim pass, and then we're going to go ahead and cut this thing to size. Now I'm going to do that off camera here because you've already seen this done. You're just doing it on these edges now. You've cut this edge and this edge to get the 2 inches. Now we're going to skim this to clean up that factory edge, and then we're going to turn it around and then go to this edge here, clean it, take a measurement, and then actually machine it to size.